Hi, welcome against all odds, family. It's another Sunday, and today our guest for today is Mrs. Sandra Babu Boateng, CEO of Face2Face Africa. Sandra, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. And let me just say, it's such an incredible platform. What you're doing, it's just so amazing. And I'm so glad that you even thought of me, considered me for this. So thank you.
Absolutely. I so appreciate you being here. Thank you for saying yes to us.
Of course.
Guys, Sandra and I met, I think it was about 2 years ago.
How time flies.
Jollof and babies. I provided jollof, provided babies, and that was it. Our sisterhood was formed. Thank you so much for saying yes to us. So just to start, if you could just give us a little bit of background about what growing up was like for you. You were born in Ghana, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So I was born in Ghana in a small village. Actually, I laugh about it often because I'm like, I don't have to tell, like I don't talk about where I was born because I'm like, nobody knows it. And I'm like, don't Google it either because you won't find it. But it's a place called Otumi, right? And it's in the eastern region of Ghana. If you know where Achim Oda is?
Yeah.
Or like Kade, that area.
Yes. My dad grew up around Kede, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. So, okay. So you do know. Okay. So Otumi is literally about, I want to say 20 minutes from Kede. It's a, small village, right? And I grew up very, very humbling beginnings, in Ghana. And to be honest, when I reflect and I think back to how I started, it's unimaginable to see how far God has brought me and my family. And I'm just so thankful and grateful to God. It's been quite an extraordinary journey.
Wow. So you then migrate, or was it your parents then migrated to Milan, Italy, and then?
Right. Yeah. So I was in Otumi, where I was born. I lived there with my grandmother, actually. So my mom was a trader. Okay, so so she used to, when I was born, actually right around 3 months, my dad left Ghana for Italy. Okay. So my mom was, the one who was hustling and trying to take care of me. And at that time, my older sister, who was 2 years older than me. Yeah. And so she used to be in and out. So I basically grew up with my grandmother. My grandmother is the one that took care of me. She, at a very young age, at around 5, she helped me start my own business. Oh, yes, where I was selling kerosene. So it's a funny story, right?
Wow,
it's a funny story.
Imagine any 5-year-old doing that now, huh?
It's incredible. But you know what? That experience, that's the reason why I'm the entrepreneur that I am today, because I got exposed to the world of business, even though it was like a little kid selling kerosene, trying to support the family. It really exposed me to the world of business. And I knew, since then I've always been looking out for opportunities where I can lead, where I can do things on my own and have my own business. So so that was my story until I think when I was around 7 or 8, when we moved to Accra permanently. So my mom was going back and forth, and at some point we all moved to Accra, stayed with her, and then a couple of years later, my dad came back from Italy, and we moved with we went with him to Italy.
Okay. Wow. Interesting story. So you then moved to the US.
Yes.
Forward, you did your undergrad. You grew up in, was it Bronx?
Yes.
You did your underground in media. You majored in television, radio, film with a minor in acting.
Yes.
Quite a whole spiel. Exactly. You're like, I've got to have it covered. Was media something you always knew that you wanted to do?
No, it's not something I knew I always wanted to do. I just happened to have went to a high school. My high school in the Bronx was heavily concentrated on media. And so as a teenager, I became exposed to the world of media through my high school. Right. And I started getting involved. They had a lot of programs, and, being who I was back then, I always loved trying new things. So I got engaged and got involved with a lot of those school programs, media related school programs. And I loved the opportunity that media afforded me to be able to tell a story, to shape a narrative. I thought it was a very powerful tool. Yeah. And so I started off in high school. I was making a lot of PSAs about things that I was passionate about, social issues. And I got involved with programs even outside of the school. So at the age of 16, I was actually sponsored. There was an external team media program, and they sponsored me. It was a scholarship to go to Thailand for 6 weeks to make a documentary about my experience. And
it is awesome.
It was incredible. So when I came back, actually the film that I did was submitted to a lot of film festivals and received really positive reviews and feedback. And I was like, okay, maybe this is what I want. I want to continue to explore, this industry. Wow. And then I decided to just go to college. I specifically looked for a media school, Syracuse University. They have one of the top communication school, the Newhouse School of Public Communications. Wow. So I applied there, and I got a full scholarship into Syracuse. And yeah. And that was it.
Wow. Isn't it amazing how sometimes, life leads us down a path that we never even had considered before?
Absolutely. Wow. I think as long as you're open to it, right? Open to possibilities. Yeah. Because before that, I always wonder, I'm like, what could I have possibly been doing today if it wasn't for media, right? And granted, today I'm not specifically in the TV space, in the film and television and radio specifically, because media has evolved. Absolutely. But I'm still in media, in digital media, right? And I had to evolve along with it. I'm still very passionate about film and everything that I learned. I mean, my company, we produce a lot of video content. So it's been, very useful, career path, or my education has been very helpful in my career, as well. But I have learned that just as you said, just being open to possibilities and going places that you never even, imagined existed.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. So after college, you had some dream jobs, what everyone would consider dream companies. You were with MTV, you were with HBO, New York Times. You arrived. You had arrived.
All right.
Why did you decide to drop everything to follow your dreams of entrepreneurship?
It all happened when I graduated from school. I was working with a big media company, and I felt invisible, right? I was the only Black person there in my department, and I was the first one there every day and the last one to leave. But I really felt like no one really cared about the effort and the passion that I was putting into my work. And it came to a point where, I just had to, I told myself, I said, I bet that if I can put the same energy into my own thing, it will be successful. And so I just decided to jump, really. And that's what it was. It was difficult deciding to be an entrepreneur and to go and do my own thing. It was scary. Yeah. But it was something that I knew. It bit on my heart. And as I said, I've always been an entrepreneur, in some way, shape, or form. Even when I came to this country at the age of 13, I started working. So I always knew I wanted to be in control, more in control of, of my life in that way, in terms of business. Right. And that experience also it's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about diversity and inclusion today. You know, I'm a diversity and inclusion consultant where I help companies really understand and develop strategies for recruiting and retaining Black talent. And it's because of my experience there, because I felt unseen and unheard. And today, a lot of Black professionals, more and more Black professionals are leaving corporate America because of the same experience. Corporate America doesn't see us. So it's interesting that my experience 10 years ago is still happening, still relevant today, and it's even worse, right? And to come in, all the amount of money and resources that's been put into diversity and inclusion, it's really sad to see that there hasn't really been that much improvement, right? And so that was really my early experience with corporate America. It was not good, and I didn't see a way to kind of forge in my own pathway in corporate America. And that's why I left.
Interesting.
Left and never looked back.
And never looked back. That in itself is a blessing, because we know that, you know, most companies at its inception, after a few years, just, you know, would fail. So for you to be going, you know, for as long as you have, and going from strength to strength is amazing. So tell us about Face2Face Africa. How did it come to be?
Yeah. So Face2Face Africa is an idea that actually my husband and my now husband, back then it was, I don't know, a friend, but we actually, Isaac and I, we actually connected on Facebook, right? And we're just sharing our experiences of growing up here and going through the school system in high school and in college, and just the stereotypes and the negative, you know, perceptions that people had about Africa, right? I mean, so many times that I was, you know, called all these disgusting names and, you know, all these things I don't even want to repeat, because you're African. And when I met Isaac, and I knew that experience was not unique to me, but when I met him, we were able to connect on not just talking about the problem, like how come this is the world's perspective of Africa, of our continent, not just talking about the problem, but also talking about solutions. So after multiple conversations, we said, you know what, the media has done a phenomenal job tarnishing the image of Africa, right? When you think of PR for every country, everything, you know, let's even go into business, right? A business, whatever it is that you do, and you have the power to shape the image of that particular thing. And for Africa, for a very long time, we have not been able to control the narrative about our continent. And so that story, our story, has been told by the West, by everyone else but us. And it was time for us to reclaim that narrative and show the world what we as a people are capable of. So it inspired this conversation about having to create a platform that will inform people on Africa, educate people on Africa, but also celebrate the great things coming out of the continent. Yeah. You know, I think around that time, actually like 10 years before that, there was a magazine, I forget the name of it, but a global magazine. And they put on the cover of the magazine, the Africa, the hopeless continent, or something like that.
Oh dear.
And when you think about it was The Economist, actually, I just remembered. When you think about what that does, Sylvia, for a people, right? For young people like myself, seeing that where I come from is on this global cover of the magazine saying that we're hopeless as a people, that does something to you mentally, right? And so we knew that we had, as a younger generation, we had a responsibility to stand up for the continent, to do something, however small it is, to do something to help reversing this negative or changing this negative perception of Africa. So that's how Face2Face Africa came about. We were, you know, we were young and didn't know, had no idea what this Yeah, just passionate, exactly. Young and passionate, you know, but we never imagined that it would be around for this long. We never knew where it was going to go. We had no resources, nothing. It was just an idea.
Right.
And we took it a day at a time and just continue to build on it. Right. And by the grace of God, you know, we're, you know, when we look back and the journey, the events that we've hosted, and the people we brought together to celebrate Africa, the opportunities, the business opportunities that we've been able to bring to the continent because of the relationships, right? It's just, it's incredible. But we still have a long way to go. So we barely scratched the surface, believe it or not.
Right. And it truly just goes to show that, you know, when you have an idea or when something is on your heart, you just need to start where you are with what you have, right? Because if you think of the process, you will never start.
You will never start. And if you think of everything that you need to get started, you will never start either. Yeah. Because they never, ever, always come together. You could have the capital, but you will lack something else. Or you could have everything else, but lack capital. There's always something. But if you can just keep going, somehow God and the universe has an incredible way of bringing things together so beautifully. If you can take that step of faith.
Yes.
And ask God to lead and direct that vision.
Yes.
And that's what we did. Yes. And that's what we still continue to do.
Wow. And 10 years on, look at where you are.
10 years on and 2 babies later with eyes. Well, it's 10 years, 10 years later, a wedding, traditional wedding, and 2 babies later. Yeah, we're still here.
Wow. And an incredible media platform that we all go to, and, you know, thousands of people get to read and learn about the continent, and also bringing the diaspora together with, you know, just whether it's African Americans or just even Africans who do not have a connection with the continent. You guys are doing an incredible thing.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
Tell me, how was it? You're transitioning from doing a 9-to-5 job onto entrepreneurship. How did you take it? How did your immigrant parents take it? I'm finding out.
So for me, it really, you know, transitioning into entrepreneurship, initially it was very difficult, right? Because as a young person, an African graduate from college, right? Your parents are proud, and they, you know, you're supposed to be like the, you know, model of success, or you know, whatever it is. The expectations after you graduate are so high. And so for me, when I decided to leave work, obviously I had to cut back. It's like starting life over and just trying to figure things out on my own. As I said, I didn't have, you know, no one came and said, here's $1 million, go launch this business. You know, nothing. So I had to figure, you know, both Isaac and I, we had to figure things out on our own. And those early stages where you sow a seed and you're waiting for it to sprout, those stages are the most difficult stages in life of anything. Right? When you hope someone will understand your vision, but they never will, because only you have your vision. You know, when you hope someone will open a door for you, but they won't, because you don't have a track record, right? Like, it's so many things in those early stages. And that's why a lot of people quit in those early stages. And for me, there were certainly so many factors. With my parents, you know, not really understanding what I was doing. You know, at some point, my dad was like, he thought I was like, you know, almost like possessed or something. Like, you know, Africans, like, I don't know what's wrong with this girl. Why would she go to school and then, you know, graduate at like top of her class and then just come and stay home, and she's always on her computer, and I don't understand. I have to pray for her. I have to, you know.
She prayed.
We have to take it into prayer, Sandra. So, so that was like particularly my dad. My mom would just be like, son, but my dad, he was more vocal about it because he just thought that maybe I'm making a mistake, but I think that's every parent. Every parent wants the best for their children. And when their children come and say, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur, and there's like, it scares them. It can be scary for parents, So that was the most difficult thing for me was looking, obviously I was still living with my parents at that time, but having to wake up every day and look them in the eye, and say, I'm not going to work today, but I'm working, I'm on my computer, that was tough. But I had to just stick to my conviction that this was the right thing. And I had to pray to God to give, I said, if this is what you want me to do, and I'm making the right decision, then you have to help my parents understand that this is my path that you have given me. This is my purpose that you have given me. And it's not about whatever they have envisioned for me. So I think I prayed that prayer, and I think God helped me go through that process to the point where now, they look back and it's like, they still don't know what I do. They don't fully understand.
At least you have your own home now.
Exactly. I'm giving up on trying to make them understand, but they know. They're like, oh yeah, my daughter's very busy. My daughter is on TV. Like she's, they're proud, but they still don't understand the nature of the work that I do. And that's okay. As long as they know that I'm doing well, and I wasn't kidnapped or anything, anything like that.
And you're not asking them for money.
Exactly. Right. I figured it out. Yes. And so that's one of the things I tell parents is, when I talk to parents, it's who are struggling with their children, trying to find their own way, is let them go and just pray for them. Right. Because sometimes God has truly put something on their hearts that you don't see. And we try so hard we try to put our vision, our vision and our plans onto them, but it has to be God's vision and God's plan for our children, not ours.
Yes. And in the same vein, when, parents are struggling, especially when the kids are young.
Yeah.
Husband and I know we've said to so many people, but this is the age for them to make their mistakes.
Absolutely.
This is in the early 20s. This is the time for them to explore and make their mistakes,
Absolutely.
And, so just to let them fly. And if they make their mistakes, they have time to get back on track.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, and this is really important, because for me, I knew there were many times that I wish I could come to my father and seek advice from him, because I'm young, I'm learning. Yes, in his mind, I thought I knew it all. I didn't think, and maybe I did think I knew it all, but whatever it was, I always wished that I could come and say, hey, Dad, I'm struggling with this. Can you help me? How would you approach this? What do you think I should do? But I could never come to him because I was always worried and afraid that he's going to say, see, I told you so.
Yes.
That was always a big fear of mine. And so it also became like a driving force for me, right? Because I knew that failure was not an option. I could not stand my father saying, I told you so. So even when I was distressed and I was struggling, and I could never talk to him. I just kept pushing through it and kept pushing through it. And so I think that openness with parents and vice versa, parents being open with their children, and it's so important. It's so critical.
It is important. It is important. Wow. So you're obviously a woman. Black woman at that.
Yes.
Now, both of them, someone could say, could be limiting. Have you found that to be the case on your journey as an entrepreneur? And how have you handled that?
Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely. I had dealt with, all sorts of things, and then there's another layer that you have to add to it, being an African woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're Black, you're a woman, but you're also African, and that comes with another dynamic. And so there's been different, especially as an entrepreneur, been trying to figure out how to navigate this country and business. I mean, there are a lot of challenges that Black entrepreneurs, Black, or minorities deal with and face in this country, and I've had to navigate those. But for me, the way that I've been able to successfully do that is I literally turn a blind eye to all these possibilities. I've never been in a room where I was conscious that, oh my God, I'm the only Black person here. And so in my head, I'm wondering what people are thinking or saying. It doesn't, none of that affects me. I really believe in myself, and I believe that I've earned a seat at whatever table I end up being. I'm there because I have something to contribute and something to offer. And so I make my presence felt in that way. And I'm not the type to sit back and say, okay, this is what somebody thinks. What people think about me does not matter. I let my work speak for itself, right? And so for me, there are a lot of things that can impede, our progress and success as Black people, as women. But those things must never stop us from living our truth. And from pursuing our purpose, our destiny, and just being excellent at whatever it is, right? So I always look at that differently. Of course, there are a lot of things that we have to address head on, and I'm aware of that. And I fight for those things every day in my work. I fight for visibility for our people, visibility for people who come from underprivileged backgrounds and all of that. So I'm aware of those issues, and that we have a responsibility to pave a way, to open doors. And whenever I have an opportunity to do that, I make sure I do. And I make sure that I'm paving a way for somebody else in whatever way I can.
Right. That is awesome. And sometimes I guess we even have to use it to our advantage because we bring something of value. If you're the only person, in the room, then like you say, show what value you bring to the room.
Exactly. As long as the only condition is you have to believe that. You have to believe that you have earned that seat at the table. But for a lot of people, it's when you're dealing with that situation, you become conscious. You become worried about what people think about your hairstyle, what they think about your accent, what they think about so many things. But most of the time, it's in your head, right? It's in your head, because what comes out of your mouth and what you say and the work that you produce is what's going to speak, for you. It's your brand, right? It's what represents you. So the focus should be more on that and less on what people think.
Absolutely. Well said. I'm loving this conversation, Sandra.
Me too.
on and on. Now, you were featured in Face2Face was featured in Forbes 30 under 30.
Oh, gee, yeah.
Africa's best young entrepreneurs.
Unfortunately, I can't claim that anymore because I'm over 30 now. So I was like, that's in the last decade.
Yeah. It's still in the bag. So
I'm aiming for the Forbes 40 under 40. I gotta,
You need to write to them about that. We have moved on. We need another award.
Exactly,
Yeah. How was this a boost for you in your journey?
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
I'm just trying to think back to that evening when I received the notification. I had no idea it was going to happen, or I had no idea. That was actually, that year was the first time Forbes produced that specific list, the focusing on African entrepreneurs. It was the first year.
Wow.
And so I remember it was like Sunday evening or so, and people just started testing both me and Isaac, because we were on it together, say, hey, congratulations. Oh my God, I just saw you guys on Forbes. And I said, Forbes? What are these people talking about? Forbes? You know, if it was today, I would be like, fake news. Fake news. But so when we looked into it, yeah, it was this list that Forbes had produced and was generous enough to put us on there. And I had no idea how they even discovered us or, you know, Face2Face Africa. But it was truly beautiful, and it was an honor, because at that point we were just about 2 years into our business, and we had no idea what's the impact, right, that we were making, or that people were even watching, right? And sometimes that's like you put so much work into something, you have no idea how it's impacting people. Well, that day, that was like a gentle reminder, it was like a pat on the back, right? That you're doing something right. You're doing something right. But more than anything else, it just served as a responsibility, because we knew we couldn't quit. And there were so many times that we wanted to quit, right? But after that, we're like, we can't quit. We need to keep going and keep figuring things out and keep elevating this idea. So it was definitely a driving force.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Now, Face2Face Africa, you have some amazing partnerships in terms of sponsorships. How easy is it to convince corporates?
You mean how hard it is?
Okay, how hard is it? South Africa. Well, you get them to do it. So we can just assume that, you know, this is Sandra. She gets it done. It's easy, you know.
Corporate part, you know, being in the business of, and I tell people all the time that when I look back, it's like we decided to take on a really big challenge. And that was the challenge of doing PR for Africa. In a country where Africa is like the lion's den, right? Everyone lives on trees. There's no innovation. You know, even our own people, even African Americans, when you ask them about Africa, it's like, do you have a lion as a pet, right? There's no awareness of business and innovation or anything that a corporate entity here would want to identify with, right? So this was what we were up against. And then already when you look at corporate America and their multicultural marketing efforts, diversity and all of that efforts, it's very, very marginal, right? And so now it's like, you're trying to compete with the very small budget that's already going to the few Black media platforms, media companies here who have been around for several years and decades. You're trying to compete with that, and you're trying to sell something, an idea that people should start rethinking Africa. It was a difficult sell in the beginning, very difficult sell, but we were able to make believers, right? I should say make believers out of a few corporate entities who started to, so it was a lot of education in the process, and we had to be very patient about that, very, very patient. And we knew that we had to really undertake an education, pathway with this and educate corporations on Africa, and not just, what's happening on the continent, but even Africans, first, second generation, like you and I coming to this country and the level of success that they are attaining. We had to make that market, first of all, bring awareness to that market, that this market it exists, and it's different from the African-American market, because culturally, the way you speak to African-Americans is not the same way you would speak to us as Africans. You have to know how to do that, right? So that was the most important thing that we had to really bring corporate America's attention to. And we've had some great partnerships, along the way, but there's still a lot more work to be done, right? Because this space, Black media in general, is underfunded. It's just so many challenges, right? And that's what we're fighting for in this time, the whole Black Lives Matter movement era, I should say, we're fighting for our voice, for representation, because it matters.
Right.
It matters for these corporations to invest in us, to invest in our platforms. We affect and impact pop culture in general in this country more than anybody else.
Right.
When you look at pop culture, it's us. But when you look at the data and see the amount of funding that goes into our businesses, into our structures, into our communities, it's depressing. So I'm glad that, like, in the wake of the Black Lives Matter movement, you see a lot of companies making commitments, to invest in Black communities. It's great to see that. And I hope it's not just lip service, right? Yeah. But then we really begin to see the impact in the Black community. Yeah. Obviously, this is something that I'm very, passionate about and ready. So.
Yep. Right. Okay. So entrepreneurship is a grind. There's no switching off. It's your baby, and whether you like it or not, you have to push forward.
Yes.
And in this case, you are in it with your husband. So
yes.
there really, literally is no break. How do you step back from everything to try and make time for yourselves?
Yeah, it's tough. I'm not gonna lie, because just as kind of obsessed as I am with business, my husband is the same. He's worse, actually. He is worse. My husband is worse. He is a type that will wake up at 3 a.m. with a brilliant idea and try to wake you up to hear that idea. Oh my God, I've got a brilliant idea.
Oh dear.
So the two of us, we are a great team. Right. But we really, when it comes to balancing our marriage, it came to a point where we said we had to be intentional about that. And then we have children now. We have, 2 kids. And so it becomes a very, the dynamic, it becomes very complex, right? And so we had to really just sit down and put some boundaries, right? And that's actually why we recently, in quarantine, we started this platform at Couples Business, because we wanted to help other couples, understand how to navigate this terrain of doing business with a spouse. And that platform has evolved. Now we actually talk to singles as well, and try to prepare and help people for marriage and relationships and things like that. But what we do is we definitely there are a few things that we love doing together. Interests. We have similar interests. We love traveling. Okay. The only time that we're really truly able to unplug, and even that, it's like no more than 24 hours, is when we're on vacation, right? We love going away, and at least once a year, we make sure we go away, definitely more if possible, even just take like weekend road trips, with the kids, and just try to unplug for a little bit. But as you said earlier, it's impossible to fully unplug as an entrepreneur, because if for whatever reason you're the first person, if the fire is burning down, the house is burning down, whatever, you have to be available. So you can't fully unplug, and it's part of being an entrepreneur. Yeah. Right. So it comes with the terrain, and we understand that, and we just try to make our dynamic here work as much as possible. But we really love what we do. And so we don't mind if, date nights turn into a discussion about our conference next year, for example. And it happens all the time. Date nights always turn into business discussions.
I am sure. So on the topic of entrepreneurship, Sandra, I can imagine that you face obstacles all the time.
Oh, yeah.
How do you handle it? Can you maybe give us an example of something that has happened and how you have had to push through? Yeah.
It would not be possible without prayers, Sylvia. Prayers. Whether God answers or not, I don't know. But what I do know is I would not be able to continue to do what I do and to be able to continue doing it without prayers. Just being able to release and know that God is in control somehow.
Right.
That things may not work out the way I want them to. But because I've relieved them to God, the master planner, I feel better knowing that he's in control of whatever situation. So particularly this year has been, oh my goodness, such a challenge. You know, we had to cancel all of our events this year because of COVID. We just launched a new initiative last year, the 30 Black Stars. It was great. We launched it in Houston. It was so beautiful and so powerful, and we couldn't do it this year because of, you know, COVID. So we had to cancel our Pan-African Weekend Conference, which is in New York in July. So, I mean, significant impact, right, to our business and all of that. But we asked God to give us direction and a strategy for this year. And we've been able to identify new opportunities out of this challenge, right? So I think it's important. Every challenge, yes, challenges will come, but within every challenge is an opportunity.
Absolutely.
It's a ray of hope.
Yes.
Something that you probably never considered before.
Yes.
But if you can take the focus off of the challenge, right? And on that small opportunity, it could be very small, it could be just a seed that God is giving you in that season, right? And if you can just have faith to sow that seed, you would be surprised what can come out of it. So that's the biggest lesson that I have learned this year, because my couple's business, as I was saying, came about because we were on lockdown and we're like, God, what we were bored out of our minds, you know, everything was just like, what is happening in our world today? And we decided to do this a couple's business, and it was like so well received. And within a couple of months, when we look at what that platform is evolving into, kind of like it's evolving into its own thing, its own subsidiary to Face2Face Africa in a very unique and interesting way. It would have never happened if it wasn't for COVID-19.
Wow.
Never happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think within every challenge, there's an opportunity. And if you can pray about it and ask God to show you what he wants you to do in that season, he will show you.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't waste the crisis, as we put it.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't waste the crisis.
There's a purpose. There's a purpose for everything that happens to us. Everything. If I sneeze right now, there's a reason why I'm sneezing. I'm just saying.
Let's be intentional about life. Okay?
Yes.
Where is the sneezing leading us?
You know, yes, you have to dissect everything. Why am I sneezing right now? Why am I? You got to. And if you become skilled at analyzing, you know, every situation in life, you will see there's truly purpose for everything.
Absolutely. I love that. So when boss lady Sandra gets up in the morning, what is your routine? What do you say to yourself? Is there anything you do or say to yourself to keep you going?
Yeah, I try to most days, you know, I try to wake up very early in the morning, you know, before the kids, so I can get some stuff done. But I love kind of, you know, reading in the morning, just, you know, personally, just reading whatever. It could be newspaper. I mean, you know, like going online, reading the news, or just reading a book, you know, and then I try to really get into a spiritual place where I can just pray about the day. And even if it's just saying, you know, Lord, here's another day I committed to you. That's it. You know, I'm not like the type of prayers my parents pray, which I'm like, Mom, why do you have to pray for 3 hours? You're saying the same thing. Like, you know, anyway, that's another story. But, you know, just connect with God and just get ready for the day. You know, and get the kids up and get them ready for the day. And then I begin, you know, my day, go into my office and start working.
Excellent. Awesome. Now, as the CEO of Face2Face Africa, what is your leadership style?
Oh, that's a great question. So
I love leadership. It's just see how,
Yeah.
and everyone leads in some way, right? Whether it's in the home, whether it's with your children, whether it's in your company, in whatever space, we leave some. But
yeah. So my approach, and I have figured out, over the last 9 years of working with people and teams and managing people, I have learned that the best way to lead is not necessarily having one way of leading, but being flexible with different styles of leading. Because when you're leading, you're not leading for yourself, you're leading people. And when you're a leader, you're serving people. My leadership is not about me. My leadership is about bringing out the best in the people that I work with. So in order to do that, you truly have to understand and know the people that you're leading. And everyone has different interests, different skills, different expertise, different personalities.
Yes.
So there's no way I can go with my one style and lead all of them. I have to rather adapt to their personality and understand what drives them, how to motivate them, how to get the best out of them. It's different for every person. So that's how I view leadership. I'm just here, I'm flexible enough to say, okay, I want to get to know this person so that I can find out what I can do to bring out the best in them. So that's my view on leadership.
Amazing. Excellent. So what or who inspires Sandra?
Oh my God. It's so many people that, wow, that I have so many people from, my family, obviously my mother, I should say, well, my grandmother, God bless her, she passed away 2 years ago, but my grandmother, both my grandmother and my mother, my biggest inspirations in terms of my grandmother, the seed that she sowed in me at a young age and taught me about business without even realizing that that's what she was doing. And I was her sweetheart. Everyone knows, like Sandra and mom, and that's what we used to call her, mommy, right? Even when I came here, she would always, want to hear from me and talk to me. And she gave me so much more than I think she even knows, but my grandmother and obviously my mom, she was a hustler. I get my hustle from my mom. I told you she was a trader. So she used to be gone. She used to be gone, just like selling things and bringing money home. And I would always see her with stacks of cash whenever she comes, and she'll give me money and then I'll go and save it. But that's what I saw. A woman who was hustling and just like trying to figure, life out. And my dad was not around. She knew she shouldn't just sit there and wait for him to come back. Or, she didn't hear from my dad for a long time. Right. But she took care of us, right? She protected us. And so for me, she inspires me. And I think seeing the person that I am today is because of her. Even today, she's still like that. She's like, I'm not ready to retire. I want to get up and go every day.
I love it.
Yeah. So those two women. And then, there's so many other, women that I love and admire, who I think have made it possible for me to even be here, to be able to dream. We all stand on the shoulders of great people who sacrifice so much, so that we can have a dream. And that's why I work so hard, because I don't want to take that for granted. When I talk to other young people, I tell them it's important that you realize that you're here because someone was willing to take the bullet.
Yes.
That's why you're here, because someone was willing to challenge the norm, right? And we shouldn't take anything for granted. So if you can, just keep pushing through. Just whatever it is that you can do to make your mark on this earth, you can. Someone has paid your dues for you. And so that is a big part of my life and my philosophy, and just what drives me is not just making my family proud, but making those people, my ancestors,
Right.
who sacrificed so much for me to be here, making them proud.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That is amazing. That is amazing. I am enjoying this. I am enjoying this so much. So you are CEO, you are wife, mother, daughter, sister. You
Yeah.
wear so many hats.
All of it. Any hat that you can think of. I got it in different colors too.
Right to Sandra. How do you juggle all of these? And would you say you have it all, or is that just a dream?
Yeah. The idea of having it all. I have been really intentional about pursuing the things that are important to me, right? Which is, I knew I wanted to have a successful business.
Right.
I knew I wanted to have children. Well, let me reverse that. So business, and then I knew I wanted to get married.
Right.
I knew I wanted to have children. I knew I wanted to give back and mentor and support young people in a way. All of these things are things that I'm really passionate about. And it's hard to be able to do all of them, right? And be excellent. And that's the key word, to be excellent at all of them. But what I have learned and what God has taught me through this journey, because I used to be a perfectionist, right? Everything had to be done a certain way. And especially when I was in college, it was like I was steady focused on, on school, and I had to be an A student and all these things. But I have learned with time that the idea of women, especially women, having it all is that idea of you have to create your own definition of it. You have to create your own ecosystem of what that means, of those things and what it means to you. So I have stopped chasing perfection. I have stopped chasing the standard of perfection. And I say, you know what? There are times where my business needs me more than my children and more than my husband. And I have to give that time to my business. And there are times where my children need me more than anything else. And I have to say pause to business, pause to my husband, and take care of my children. And there are times where my husband needs me and I have to give him what he needs and say pause to everything else. So it's about balance. It's not about, I am not by far the closest thing to being a perfect mother or a perfect wife or perfect, business leader, not by any chance. But I'm okay with knowing that I'm doing the best that I can because I wanted to have all these things.
Yes.
And I don't have to be perfect.
Yes.
I don't have to be perfect. And so I think if women, we can let that go of that idea of being perfect. We can have it all. And we can define what having it all means to us because it's different for every woman.
It's different for everyone. Absolutely different for everyone. Absolutely different for everyone. You're so right.
Yeah.
Wow. I am just loving this. What would you say to your younger self, Sandra?
To my younger self.
Where you just felt, I don't know, Sandra of 18, Sandra of 20, Sandra of 25. I don't know. What would you say to her in hindsight?
Yeah, in hindsight. Yeah, like as I was saying, I used to be so uptight. Oh God, I was that annoying student, I would all my friends are going to parties and I'm like, no, I've got to study. I was that student. Wow. And yes, it's important. It's important to be responsible, but I think I took it overboard because a whole other level, And I wish I was just, and that was because I was obsessed with the idea of success, right? I was obsessed with it. Yeah. I think it's problematic to be obsessed with. You should never be obsessed with something, right? But I think I was so obsessed with it because of where I came from. And again, knowing that my parents brought me here and made a lot of sacrifices and I had to honor that. And so I feel like I didn't, at 18, 19, I used to think about things that 30-year-olds would think about. Like I was always too far ahead of myself that I didn't enjoy the moment. I didn't enjoy the things that mattered, like building relationship with my friends. I always say I don't have any friends because I didn't like invest time in, I didn't invest time in building relationships and friendships and the other things that are important in life, right? So I think on our pursuit of success, it's important. It's equally important to smell the roses along the way. Yes. And I missed out on that opportunity. In my 20s, I was obsessed with building a business. I was obsessed with getting married and having children, all the things that I had envisioned for my life. I wanted to do that I didn't really enjoy and smell the roses as much as I should have. So that's something I want to do more in my 30s. But to every young person, I would just say, hey, take it easy, chill out, work hard, be disciplined, be responsible, but don't be so hard on yourself, right? Don't be so hard on yourself.
Yes. I love it. Yeah. Take it, smell the roses. And even as adults, we have so many things flying at us, right? So
it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. And sometimes you just need to pause and say, And
I think that's why it looks like this year everyone is going crazy, because God literally was like, this year, I don't care who you are, you're going to have to pause. Yeah. Right? And so we're all kind of losing our minds because we're stuck in a way that we've never been before, where we've had to reconsider and reevaluate relationships. And now the things that we took for granted mean so much to us because we've had to just pause. Pause.
Yes. So going on from that, what does Sandra do for fun now?
Oh, Sylvia.
Apart from meeting me for long lunches in our special place.
I know, yeah, I do love our lunches, and I can't wait for us to get together again. What I do for fun, man, and nowadays, honestly, being able to spend quality time with the kids, is so meaningful to me. And just playing silly games with them. When I have an opportunity to catch a show on Netflix, like even if it's 2 episodes and no one is bothering me, the kids are sleeping, I value that so much. I never thought like those alone times, I would be like in my pajamas, go get popcorn. I'm like, is everyone sleeping? And I'll go lay on the couch. And that is like, it means so much to me. So the small things.
Yes.
The small things. It's like fun. It's fun again.
Yes. It's priceless. And I think as mothers as well, I think
yes,
I don't like being alone. But for me, when I get the chance to be alone, I'm like, what are you kidding?
Oh, Jesus. Because everywhere, my kids, my oldest is 6. She just turned 7. And my youngest is 2. They follow me everywhere. You're in your closet getting dressed. Like I can tell how many times I came into my closet from the shower and they're in there like, Mommy, and I'm like, oh my God, like, can I have some privacy? Or you're in the bathroom, and then they come knocking. Like literally, my 2-year-old is standing there watching me shower because she won't go anywhere. And I'm just like, so it really makes you value that 30 minutes of where they're sleeping, so you can literally get some popcorn and watch your favorite show without interruptions.
Absolutely.
Like gold,
priceless. we find ourselves again within that 30 minutes. You're like,
oh my God. Yeah. You're like back to you go to heaven and back on earth.
Absolutely. Now, Sandra, we're coming towards the end of our conversation. I have had such a great time, but I just want to ask, what would you like for your legacy to be?
Oh my God, this question makes me think of Femi Kuti, who I interviewed a while back, and I asked him the same question about his legacy. Ooh. He said, I don't care. I'm going to be dead.
Oh my God.
I cracked up so much. I don't care about my legacy. I'm not going to be here to care about it. But
that is funny.
My legacy. Oh man.
You care though, right?
I just really, it's not something I've thought about, but I want to, I guess, do something, establish something that the next generation can build on.
Yes.
To make who we are, who I truly believe that we are as Black people. This whole idea of reclaiming the narrative is so important to me, Sylvia, because every continent, every country in this world, on the continent, has had an opportunity to show to the world, to showcase something to the world, to tell their story to the world. And Africa has not had that opportunity. And I believe that the time is coming where the greatness of the continents, like we all know, like you and I know, will reveal itself to the world. And I feel like I am, in my own small way, you know, just doing whatever I can now to help that vision become a reality. And I don't know if I'll be alive when Africa becomes the world, superpower or whatever. But I hope I'm here for it, right? I hope I'm here for it. And somehow, when that time comes, what I've done with Face2Face Africa and the work that I'm doing, if it can be a part of that happening, in some small way, shape, or form, I think I can rest well.
Yes.
I can rest well.
Yes.
So that's it.
Wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. That is amazing. Now, the last thing is what message you would like to leave for our viewers. And I can't believe this interview is coming to an end. Well, I don't
know. Oh, man.
And it's always such a good time with you. And I'm so glad to be able to share you with our Against All Odds family. So
yes.
Do you have a message that you'd like to leave for them?
Yeah, I would just love to say to whoever is watching that if you're watching this and there's an idea on your heart, God has put something on your heart. Maybe it's something you wanted to do since you were, you were a kid, right? Or it's something new that God has put on your heart and you've been waiting and waiting on something. Maybe you're waiting on the right time. Maybe you're waiting on something, whatever it is that is stopping you from moving forward with that idea. I just want to tell that person, if you're listening to me today, that God wants you. You're listening and you're watching this because God wants you to move forward with that idea now. Now. Not tomorrow, not next year, now. Get started. And he wants me to tell you that he has the resources waiting for you. And you don't have to understand the journey. You don't have to see the end from now. But if only you will have a little bit of faith. And if you can sow that mustard seed, however small it is, don't worry. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Don't be terrified. Put it in the ground. Water it every day, no matter how hard it is. Through sunshine, in the snow, in the storm, whatever weather condition there is, water it every single day, little by little. And I promise you that God is going to blow you away because he is a God who honors sacrifices. And if only you can make that small bit of sacrifice, he will honor it. Yeah, that's it.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. I am blown away, and I am so thankful you said that, because yesterday I actually made a video just thanking everybody for the support that they've given me, and it was exactly the same thing that I said, that whatever is on your heart, just start it, because I started this not knowing what or how.
Yeah.
And you don't need to know.
You don't need to know.
Just take a step. And it's amazing how the help that I have received along the way, the support that I have received along the way. And, things are not perfect. And we're interviewing right now, and I can see things that I forgot to do, but it's okay. It's okay. Again, we're saying we're not up to perfection. We just, just take that step. Just take that step. Just
move. Just move, like Nike, just do it. Just do it, and don't worry about anything else. Just do it.
Yeah. Sandra, it has been such a pleasure having you. I have enjoyed my time here. I am so grateful that you could come. Where can people find you on social media or find the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So please do. Yeah, please do visit face2faceafrica.com for all of your global Black news. Okay. If you want to know about important, news, stories, information that affects you and affects Black people globally, Face2Face Africa is the platform to go. We tell it as it is. We tell it, we're straight with it. We tell it as it is. So please go support, share our stories, and whatever you can do to support our platform, please do. Personally, you can find me on social media, on Facebook. I'm more active on Instagram. Miss Sandra Babu Boateng. Yeah, I do believe I've changed for the longest, I didn't change my Sandra Pia. It's my anyway. So it's 1 hour. It's Sandra Babu. You'll find me there somewhere. And you can also follow A Couple's Business, which is the platform my husband and I created, and we talk about marriage and love and doing business and intergenerational wealth and all these things, and it's really awesome. So yeah.
Awesome. We will have all the information in the description as well, just for easy reference for those who catch us live, or for those who watch it later, just so they can follow you. Sandra, thank you so much once again. It's been such a pleasure. Viewers, this has been Sandra of CEO of Face2Face Africa. And it has been such an amazing time. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Sandra, for coming. And who knows, we might have you back for another conversation, because this has been great.
Yeah, I'd be happy to anytime.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Everyone.